If you enjoy the content, I would appreciate you hitting the subscribe button and checking out my socials. G2 is one of the finest teams you will see on T-side Inferno. Within the apartments is a shadow in the mist, patiently locking down the area. Creating lurks only shows himself when his opposition don't expect it. Hey, I'm Smirky, and today I want to look at JKS and how he lurks apartments on the T side of Inferno, so let's begin. Thanks to today's sponsor, Skins Monkey. Skins Monkey is a trading platform where you can buy skins for the best prices. Normally on the site, you will get a 30% deposit bonus, but when you use my code SMIRKY, you will get an extra 5%. And you can also use my code to activate their bonus scheme. Nice. Now let's start with what JKS does at the start of the round. At the start of every single round, either one of the apps plays one Molotov bedroom, preventing the CTs from peeking out and trying to get aggressive. And sometimes with this Molotov, JKS will go fast into apps, wanting to catch the CTs by surprise. As typically he's around there around 110, but in this round he'll be in there around 135. In round 10 we can see something similar, except in this round it's going to be his teammate Hunter who will do the Molotov. They will both run together, and again in this round JKS is going to go fast into apps. Typically after throwing the Molotov though, JKS will be pretty passive outside of apps, waiting for any potential aggression. Against C9, we can see he's going to throw the Molotov, open the door and sit in this angle. In this angle, he's ready for any CTs to peek out of bedroom, potentially not being ready for JKS, as there's so many angles they need to consider when peeking. And the way JKS is angled right now could prevent potential flashes around this area, but there's still quite a big chunk where he could get flashed. Once he feels confident, he will move out and slowly clear this angle, getting ready for any potential peekers. In round 8, we can see the Molotov will be thrown, but in this round, JKS will wait under bridge, again waiting for CTs to peek out of bedroom. And with this position, he can easily tuck in on the right side if he gets flashed off. The last couple of angles I want to look at is in round 11. In round 11, we can see JKS will stop for a little bit against this eco, and then he will pause on top of this wall. In this round specifically, JKS has been extra careful since it's an eco, so JKS will be really diligent, waiting for them pushes, slowly coming around the corner, and then moving his way into apps. Alternatively, you may want to throw a flashbang instead. It affects any CTs trying to get aggressive into second mid, which I highly recommend doing against ecos, or maybe throw this flashbang in into some of your default rounds. And it's worth noting JKS will throw a Molotov and a flashbang occasionally during his games. In these clips we can see he's going to throw the Molotov, maybe wait for a bit, throw the flashbang, and then do what he wants. Now once JKS has done his initial util, he will typically wait outside of apps. So let's take a look at some of the angles. In round 5, we can see he's going to slowly come into apps and place himself here. This angle is meant to be treated as an off angle, as if the CTs were to swing out, they have to first worry about the outside area before considering JKS's angle. But by then, they've already swung out. Then afterwards, it will move back and place himself in this angle, and this angle is more to make it difficult for the CTs to hit him. But I will say, it can be difficult for you to hit them if they decide to fully swing out onto the angle. But it is a really good idea to sit outside of apps and just wait for any potential pushes. This is both important to do in your default rounds, waiting for any potential aggression, but also really important against ecos. The CTs will probably have pistols like Deagles and 5.7s, probably wanting to play pretty close. So rushing into apps is probably not the best idea. And against Imperial, we can see something pretty similar. He's just going to sit in this off angle, waiting for any potential peaks before moving up. In round 19 against Imperial, we can see JKS will do a bit of util and place himself on this angle. In this angle, he is in charge of watching any mid pushes. Meanwhile, his teammate and Hunter has the stairs push. But shortly after, JKS will transition into this, where he's mostly worried about bedroom, and will have to trust his aim if he spots anyone coming down mid. Now, I just want to quickly highlight some of the util JKS will use when taking apps. In this round, JKS will throw a Molotov at holes, and to do this, put your back against the wall, aim at the top left of this foul pot, run and let go as soon as you hit the drain pipe. This Molotov will land in holes, clearing the cubby and forcing the CTs to get further back, and also pretty good for anti-ecos. In round 21, JKS will throw a supporter flash for Hunter. To do this, stand next to this foul pot, aim here, and jump throw. Lastly, you can throw util to land inside a boiler. In this round, JKS will throw a Heya, but you could use a Molotov instead. Now, a detail I want to look over JKS's gameplay is his clearing. When JKS is clearing inside of apps, he has a very particular way he wants to do it in. In round 5 against C9, we can see JKS is waiting for any potential pushes, and when JKS thinks they aren't going to do it, he decides to move up. First, he will clear the angle in holes, then you see he will set his crosshair up to peek the top of stairs. Once he doesn't see anything, he keeps his head low, then puts his crosshair to peek boiler. Once he's safe on boiler, he puts his back against the wall, slowly moves out and clears holes. And in round 25 you can see the exact same thing. First holes, top of stairs, boiler, and then deep holes. But if JKS has a teammate, for example Hooksy, he can just hold an angle while Hooksy clears the other. In this round, he's watching close holes, Hooksy moves up and checks deep holes, while JKS watches boiler, making sure they have each other's backs. Or if you have a teammate instead of bedroom, they can deal with the boiler position, you can come out, then you can clear holes together. Now, once JKS has cleared apps, it's his responsibility to keep control of it, and he will do this by lurking around. So let's take a look at a few of his positions when he's defending apps. In this round, JKS will come to the bottom of the stairs and hold this angle. I've seen Rops play this angle and it's pretty nasty. If the CTs wanted to come out and try and clear their angles, it's a pretty weird angle for them to clear, as first they have to open themselves to boiler. Secondly, JKS isn't actually at the bottom of the stairs, he's somewhere in the middle, sitting on the steps but not making his head too predictable for the enemy's crosshairs. Alternatively, you could do something like this, where JKS will be bouncing between boiler and holes, making sure he isn't getting flanked, but putting most of his attention for holes, just in case the CTs try to re-aggress in reaction to anything that G2 does. Now there's other scenarios where JKS will play inside of holes, and with this first holes position, we can see he's going to move pretty close up, just beyond the door behind him, and it looks like he's going to put his crosshair a bit lower than it usually is. And I'm thinking it's because if the CTs were to swing out, they might wide swing, so JKS can first shoot the body to perhaps slow them down or get that early damage in. Another position you could play inside of holes, which I much prefer, is this one. This one is much more of a weird off angle for the CTs. In this, if the CTs were to swing out, they might not be expecting you to sit in the middle of holes, just crouching. And similar to the last angle, it looks like he's going to be putting his crosshair pretty low, ready to shoot the CT's body. However, in this round, he wants to move a little bit further up, so you can see he will clear his angles, and then place himself here. With this angle, he could potentially kill a CT if they are shifting into apps, but alternatively, he can spot the CTs if they're trying to get a bit cheeky and trying to sneak into holes. And it's also a great position if your team is wanting to execute onto their site, as you're pretty close to balcony and ready to pop out. This isn't really a position, but it's a cool play I want to show you. In round 10, JKS will be clearing his angles, one by one, where Hunter will give him a flash for him to quickly peek out and clear balcony, potentially catching a CT by surprise. But once he doesn't spot anything, he gets a bit hungry and tries to peek the site. But in this round, he gets upped by Shiro. Now, how does JKS respond when his teammate is executing onto the A site? Well, there's quite a few cool traits I want to show you. Whenever G2 tries to execute onto the A site, JKS will be very commonly inside of apps. His role as the apps player is to bait his teammates. His teammates will take the brunt of the attack, getting the CT's attention and get them firing on them. But while he's waiting for his teammates, he loves to cut the angles on the site. In round 6, G2 will try to execute through short, and JKS will be holding this angle. Unfortunately in this round he doesn't get anything, but there have been rounds where CTs have exposed themselves, allowing him to go for the fights. We can see once the G2 squad make their way up short, that's JKS's time to activate. JKS's role when he's peeking out apps is to trade or be traded, and when he peeks out, he spots Buster right in the open, allowing him to get the kill. If JKS did die, Hooksy will be able to swing out and get that trade. In round 21, G2 are executing against Imperial. G2 knows there is a play inside of Pit due to them throwing the smoke, so JKS will be lobbing util into Pit, but you do want to be very careful when doing this, as you could be exposing yourself to their one way, so try and keep your head low. Once G2 make their way onto the site, JKS will peek out again, and in this round, he does dive to Jota, but Hooksy is able to get that trade. And I just want to highlight again the importance of cutting off the angles. Cutting off the angles, especially during an execute, can lead to early kills or damage onto unsuspecting CTs. In this round, Fallen was opening on short, where he almost reveals himself to JKS, but he doesn't get the kill. Now I do want to quickly highlight, this isn't part of his default, but I think it's pretty important to mention. There are times at the very start of the round where JKS doesn't even go inside of apps. This will be typically when, for example, Hooksy will call, let's create a bit of A presence and hit B early. So JKS will throw his default util before making his way onto B. Again, this is a call typically made by the IGL, but this is something you might want to consider if you are inside of a team. After watching a few of JKS's demos, I've noticed he's patient. JKS will sit in a position, waiting for CTs to push for a good while. Then he will later move up to a different position. He's careful. We've seen the masterclass of his crosshair placement, putting it perfectly onto angles he thinks there will be an enemy, and sometimes does it in a specific order. And lastly, he can be seen as a bit of a beta. The term beta isn't known to be a positive turn, but this is how JKS is set up on G2. On executes, he's allowed to let his team go in first. Then he decides when he wants to peek out to get those trades. You need a way to change the pace on the T side of Inferno. Check out this video I did about G2 and their fast A split from spawn. It's a pretty effective split which will catch your enemies off guard. Apart from that, cheers Skins Monkey for the sponsor. Thanks for watching, and see ya in a bit.